is absolutely
wrong.
Yeah, I don't get it. Now, people talk about Fatal Frame like it's up there with some of the greats like Silent Hill and Resident Evil, but after playing through it myself, I genuinely don't understand the hype. Now, don't get me wrong, I wanted to like this game. The atmosphere, the concept, the whole fight ghosts with a camera thing on paper sounds sick, but actually playing it is where it all started to fall apart for me. So, slight spoiler warning ahead for the story. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you guys about Duby Energy. I've been using Duby Energy while recording these videos. It's a caffeine-based sugar-free powder that you just mix with water, and it actually tastes really good. It helps keep me awake during these late-night horror sessions. My personal favourite is the Push-In Punch, but if you're feeling brave, you can order Chef's Choice and get a mystery tub. If you want to try it, use code LEAPMAN for 10% off, and there'll be a link in the description below. And with that out of the way, let's get back to the horror. The game follows two twin sisters, Miyu and Mayu, and Miyu and Mayu find themselves in an abandoned village called the Minakami village. And straight away the village is off, it's all desolate, it's all creepy, and in typical horror protagonist fashion, they decide to not turn around and go the other way, they decide to go deeper into the village, and they discover that the village was built around something called the Crimson Sacrifice Ritual. Now the Crimson Sacrifice Ritual is to appease the hellish abyss that is underneath the village, which is a big hole to hell, basically. And the ritual all revolves around twins. It revolves around one twin strangling the other twin to death to appease the spirits of the hole or something. Now, when you're walking around the village, you find that one of the rituals was unsuccessful with a pair of twins called Yai and Sai, where one of the twins didn't want to go through with it, so they ran away to safety, and it brought a curse on the village, and everyone's turned into these wandering spirits. And you find something in the village called the Camera Obscura, which is essentially your weapon for the game, and you take photographs of spirits to banish them. Now, your sister Mayu seems to get possessed by the village and wants to finish what they started. She wants to carry out the ritual. She becomes connected to the village, and it seems to be bringing her back in. And you go through the village, you go taking pictures of spirits to banish them, you read a lot of notes. I will talk about the notes a little bit later, but you learn the history of the village through the notes. And there's multiple endings. You can either kill Mayu to complete the ritual, you either fail to save her entirely, or you become trapped in this cycle yourself. There is no real happy ending, which I don't mind. There isn't usually for these kind of games. The Silent Hills, the Resident Evils, not all of them have to have happy endings. The story is very dark and very bleak, which is absolutely fine. My biggest gripe with the game is the way the story is told. So let's start with our two main characters, Mayu and Miyu. Mayu and Miyu have about the same substance as a glass of spilled milk. They're the most NPC characters I can ever think of in a video game that I've seen. Their whole dialogue just revolves around the huh? What? Mayu? Miyu? That's 90% of what the characters say. That's it. That's the script of the whole game. Mayu spends the entire game either getting attacked by ghosts, walking off on her own, or just complaining, and frankly it gets so damn annoying. The story is meant to be this emotionally driven bond between twins, but it just becomes such low energy complaining. It's infuriating. So we've talked about all the basic living characters. Now let's move on to the ghosts, the dead characters. And in the beginning of the game, you think these ghosts are genuinely creepy. The first time one of them comes at you through the wall or sneaks up on you through a door, you think, whoa, my god, oh, it's a ghost. And they're all see-through, they're all, ooh, and you're like, this is cool. And you banish it, and you're like, wicked, I can't wait to see the next ghost. And then you see the next one, and it's the same ghost, but he has a different hat. And you're like, oh, okay. You get rid of it. then the next ghost, and it's the same guy. He's just got a stick instead of a pitchfork, and you're like, okay. And again, it becomes tedious. You start to get to around your 10th, 12th ghost, and you're like, they're all the same. And then when you do come across a ghost that is interesting, it has a different, unique kind of style to the way it talks, the way it moans, the way it looks, the way it acts. 9 times out of 10, you have to run away from it because you can't kill it. It's part of the story to just run away and hide, which is such a shame because you want to stay and you want to fight this ghost and you want to learn its moves and see how it acts, but you just don't have the time. My favorite ghost in this game has got to have been the sunken woman on the bridge. Dude, that's sick! She looks like she's upside down. She comes at you and she's upside down and it's like she's in the air, but she's underwater still. And I found that one really interesting because you had time to fight it, to look at it, and every other ghost was just wasted potential. The combat in this game is different. Now, I never played this game when it first came out in the early 2000s, so I imagine the whole camera aesthetic kind of combat was such a big deal when it came out. Since then, we've had a lot of indie games do this exact same thing, but at the time, I imagine it was something very different. So the whole combat mechanic is you use the camera obscura to damage or banish the ghosts. Cool idea, terrible execution. Everything about it is just so boringly, tediously slow. You wait for your film to reload. You line up the shot. You take the picture and then immediately come out of the camera view to avoid getting your ass slapped. And then you do it all again, and the fights seem to last for like a good 10 minutes each time. The ghosts are so tanky that it just becomes a boring drawl of aim, wait, shoot, move, aim, wait, shoot, move. It's not tense, it's not exciting, it's tedious. And I understand that they were going for vulnerability and pacing, but there's a fine line between tense horror gameplay and I'm bored. And again, maybe this is just my caveman brain speaking, but there seems to be nothing wrong with the good old formula of hitting something with a stick or shooting something, but nothing, and I repeat, nothing comes close to the biggest issue I have with this game, which is the notes. Now, before I go on about this, I love lore. I'm a Warhammer fan. I love lore. I love world building, and I love learning about things in games. But this game, it just doesn't know when to stop. Everything in this game is told through notes, which imagine if you were dyslexic and you wanted to play this game. You're screwed. And when I say everything, you open a chest, you get some notes with some lore, you find a key to unlock a door, in it will be some notes with some lore, you banish a ghost, and what does he drop? He drops a book with some lore. And it's not like a page or two with a bit of handy information. No, I'm talking about 8 to 12 pages of people repeating themselves with the same old boring lore. Like, at some point, it's not a horror game anymore. I'm playing a visual novel, and it gets to a point where it's about a 10-hour game, and I spent about 8 hours of it reading notes. Like, I didn't play a game, I accidentally joined up to a book club. And the frustrating part is that there is a great game here. The atmosphere is solid. The concept is unique, and the core idea is genuinely interesting, but all of that is buried under slow, clunky combat, repetitive enemy designs, flat NPC characters, and an absolute ridiculous amount of reading. So yeah, maybe this is a hot take, maybe I'm missing something with this game, but for me, Fatal Frame 2 just isn't a horror masterpiece. It's a game that could have been one, but just ended up being a slow, tedious chore. But yeah, anyway guys, I feel much better getting that off my chest. If you did like the video, don't forget to click like and subscribe. And if you think I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, why do you think I'm wrong? Why is Fatal Frame 2 one of the best horror games? Or even if you agree with me, let me know in the comments why you also think this game sucks, because I can't be dealing with reading any more notes and lore on this game, so do the work for me. Let me know down below.